over 5 cameras that you can find for under $200, and that is going to include everything you need: the camera, lens, memory card, battery, and most likely a charger. You're going to need one of those for lots of these camera bodies. Additionally, I will go over some alternatives you can find, because generally it's a pretty good idea when you're down at this kind of budget. Look for a deal, look for several models, and then jump on one that is a good deal. So in the previous video I did for cameras under $100, I purchased a Canon Digital Rebel, and it came with the Canon bag and all sorts of goodies inside. And I think of these as Christmas bundles. That's generally when they were on sale and people would buy them, not really use the cameras, and then they'll just sell everything you need. And that takes care of any problems with tracking down batteries or charger or knowing what memory card is going to be compatible. For pricing, I went onto eBay and used the sold items filter. This will show what things have actually been selling for. The higher priced cameras will stick around forever, and the lower priced ones will get bought up right away. That's why you want to be ready to buy when you go out looking. You see a good deal, grab it, because they don't stick around. And it's not to say that you need to use eBay. You can use any other online marketplace. You go to flea markets, garage sales, swap meets, things like that can also be good sources. There will be affiliate links to all of these cameras in the description. They will have filters enabled to make sure that the sellers accept returns, they're used, and to filter out a lot of the garbage that will show up in the listings to make it easier for you. My website will have links to manuals, specification pages, product pages, and things that are generally helpful for a new owner. The first camera I'm going to cover is the Canon T3i, also known as the 600D and KISS X5. It was released in 2011 and has an 18 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor. What makes this camera a good choice is due to its availability. It was a very popular mid-level entry offering during a time period when Canon was selling boatloads of these cameras, so it'll be incredibly easy to find one of these. Additionally, it has a flippy screen. It can record 1080p 30 video, and if you want to increase your video options, you can install the Magic Lantern firmware onto the camera and get even better video out of it. It uses SDXC memory card, so you're limited to 2 terabytes, and you should have no problems finding compatible cards or having compatibility issues. The lens selection is not incredible, but there are options for everything you could reasonably want to do with the camera. They're inexpensive, widely available, so it's a great system to get into. The next camera is going to be the Nikon D5100, and this is basically a direct competitor to the Canon T3i. It was also released in 2011, has a 16.2 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor, uses the Nikon F mount, so it can use DX and FX lenses. Lens compatibility gets a little strange, so I will leave a link to the chart that you can look to see exactly which lenses are compatible and which aren't. It's kind of a negative with Nikon. The camera can also record 1080p 30 video, has a front-facing flip screen, and uses SDXC memory cards, so everything is very, very comparable to the Canon option. I think these might be a little bit more difficult to find, but there are still so many of them around. It's a great system to get into. You have a little room for upgrading, and the lens selection is also pretty nice and comparable to Canon. Next is the Panasonic G3. It's also from 2011. It's a 16.7 megapixel micro four thirds CMOS sensor. This camera would be a good choice for photography. For video, it has interlaced 1080 60 frames per second, and that's not really that great. I would probably prefer to have the Canon T3i, and it can also only use SDHC SD cards, which means that you are limited to a maximum capacity of 32 gigabytes. If you try to use more than that with the camera, it's not going to work. Though the one redeeming factor is the lens mount. With Micro Four Thirds, there is just a plethora of lens options available under $100. Anything you could possibly want, multiple options, every price point. It's a great system for people on a budget or for those that want smaller cameras. There are also lots of cameras that are sort of close to being under $200, a little over, so if you want to push your budget a little bit, you can also look for things like a GH1, a G5, GF3, or G2 or G3 even. Next is the Canon EOS M50. This was released in 2018, has a 24.1 megapixel APS-C dual pixel AF sensor. It's like, wow, that's incredible. It's so much better than the other ones that I've gone over so far. Unfortunately, it uses the Canon EF-M mount, which has been discontinued in favor of the RF mount. The EF mount was only used for like 8 years maybe. There just aren't that many lenses available. There's not a lot of third-party support. And it's not really a system that I would say, hey, buy this and you're going to be able to upgrade in the future. It can record 4K at up to 25 frames per second, but the dual pixel autofocus doesn't work when you record 4K. So it's like there's that box that gets checked, but it's not going to be a very useful spec to have. It also uses SDXC SD memory cards with UHS 1, which you're going to get anyways if you need to buy a memory card for this camera, 2 terabyte max. And then finally, there is the Sony NEX-5, and I think there's a 5N and a 5T you could possibly find. This one is from 2013. It has a 16 megapixel APS-C sensor. It can record 1080p 60 video, charge via USB, but my one drawback to the camera is that it uses the Sony E-mount. It's a very good mount, but the lenses are more expensive than other systems, and you might want to take that into consideration if you have future upgrade plans. You can use SDXC memory cards and Sony Pro Duo, Pro HG Duo cards, which are now discontinued. They were a proprietary memory card format, so unless the camera comes with a Pro Duo card and a reader, I would try to avoid those things altogether. They're more expensive and slower, harder to find than SD cards. So that'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching. I wish you good luck in finding a camera for under $200. I'll have more videos coming soon, slowly working my way up all the price points. So I will see you in the next one.